What's up, everybody? Welcome to a brand new episode of the 5280 podcast on the MHRT Network. I'm your host, as always, Mundungus Creevy, alongside Cameron Parker, Gage Madrid, and Glenn Hauser. How we doing, fellas?
What's up?
Good. Okay, so coming off a bye week, didn't think there'd be.
Oh, hold on, it's me. I forgot. I had opened up the stream so that way I could put the link into my other chat.
Oh, that's always fun.
Yes. So
now Gage's like, who's echoing and echoing?
I know,
you,
right?
Gage. Like,
now that we've shown our professionalism on the live stream to all these people.
Already off the rails as we do.
So you wouldn't think that the Broncos coming off a bye week would be a very busy week. Wrong. We'll go ahead and start off with the biggest news. Luke Wattenberg just signed a 4-year extension. Thoughts?
He did. I don't like the move.
It's kind of one where they may know. I think you said it, Mike. They might know a little bit more than we do.
They gotta know something that we're not seeing.
Yeah, that we're not seeing. I will say this: it's something probably in the grand scheme of things that isn't a terrible deal when you look at it. Like he's 5th or 6th in terms of the highest paid centers in the NFL, and I guess he's $20 million guaranteed. As far as what I just saw there. And I think not to make it too much on a quarterback thing, but this is also pretty pro for Bo as well, because the moment you move on from Wattenberg is at least the idea that you are moving on from a center that he is plenty familiar with. And so you're almost like asking a pitcher to learn a new catcher, right? And so I think that it's one where maybe in the long run, this is going to be as beneficial for him, because this is a Denver Broncos team that is developing. And if there is one thing that this Broncos team has developed into, has been the best team in the NFL, or at least in the AFC. And so when you have that, and you have arguably one of the best offensive lines in football, and they are, for all intents and purposes, locked up through 2026, we'll certainly see what happens with Powers, but this is a good thing. Like, this is truly a good thing still for the development of this team.
I mean, I see it a little bit different. I just talked about this over on Broncos Syndicate. I understand wanting to maintain continuity, but it's been very obvious for these last couple of years that Wattenberg is the weak link on that offensive line in run blocking, as well as his actual snapping. His high snaps and low snaps throw off the timing of the play, especially when you're trying to get to progressions later on in the down. The beginning of the play gets screwed up because Bo Nix is trying to corral a crappy snap. I understand the rapport that he has with Nix, and at this point, I just have to trust the front office because they haven't made too many moves that have led us astray to this point. So their batting average is pretty good. I've got to trust him here, but let's just say if I were GM, this is not a move I would make just based on the information that I currently have as someone who covers and studies the team.
Yeah, I mean, the contract, Mike Kliss is reporting 4 years, $48 million. I mean, that's not a bad deal, especially considering with a starting center, some of these salaries are even, considerably higher. I'm with you, Gage. They have to, there's a reason they made this move at this point. Obviously, they trust him. We're right in the thick of things in terms of our window for the next few years of success. And now they have their starting center. To Cam's point about Ben Powers, that's the one that's going to be very, very interesting, is what happens next year. Do you guys have any opinions on what you think the Broncos do in his spot? Will they keep him one more year, or do you think that they're going to move on?
I don't know. I mean, the one thing you can say is it probably doesn't change anything necessarily.
Sure.
I mean, I will say though, from the Broncos side of things, it seems like they are making a trend to really keep this group together as much as possible. So as much as he probably would seem like the obvious one out, it still is one where they could keep him on the roster for 2026 and then move on from him, fresh money, if you will, after 2026. So they're still drafting his replacement in 2026, or they may have him on 2026, and then that's when, based on draft and developer and everything, that's when maybe you see a little bit more of an opportunity for Nico Giulio after 2026, and everything. So I at least for the time being, am expecting Powers to be here, but he's also one of those players where the moment we either doubt him or the moment we always got to forget about him, he flips the switch, right? Like he flips that switch, he becomes one of the best guards in the entire NFL the moment the regular season hits. So, and frankly, if anything, it kind of proved that the Broncos still rather miss him.
Are you sure? I thought that Forsyth was the year after Wattenberg.
So Forsyth
was the first year of Peyton.
That was the first year of Peyton. I'm talking about Wattenberg right there.
Yeah, I thought Wattenberg was the first year of Peyton.
No,
and then Forsyth and Bo were together.
No, Forsyth and Bo were together in Oregon. They came up. Forsyth came out in 23.
1 year before.
Wattenberg came out of Washington in 2022.
Okay.
And actually, it was the 5th round. And if I remember right, George Payton traded up for him.
Yeah, he did.
So
Pelissero is saying 27 mil guaranteed.
Okay.
We're still paying Russ too. Not anymore.
Not after this year.
Not after this year, yes. Again, man, that's not the move I would have made. I would have looked to upgrade the position either in the draft or free agency. But what are you going to do, man? It's the move they made. We've got to live with it.
Well, and this isn't the only player that they've reached out to or extended. They already extended Will Lutz to a 3-year contract. They also reached out to Malcolm Roach, which I think is a fantastic move. I think the defensive line completely changed when Malcolm Roach came back. One thing we're not hearing about, though, is JFM. We haven't heard anything about JFM. I honestly, just try to be honest. Do we need to bring JFM back?
Well, depends.
I'm not saying that he's not good, but with all the things that we have going on, JFM's name's not really getting called all that much.
It's because he's doing the unnoticed shit.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead, Cam.
No, exactly. I mean, the Gage is right. They say when you don't hear someone's name called, that's usually good news. They say it for a corner. If you don't hear Surtain's name called, it's rather a good thing. There was a few games here and there where Rodney Moss wasn't targeted. That's a good thing. And when you aren't hearing DJ Jones's name, Mike, that's a good thing. When you aren't hearing John Franklin Myers' name, that's a good thing. I think the thing with JFM, though, is it isn't so much whether the Broncos want to bring him back as much as it's the financial aspect of where they're at and the players that they currently have on the roster. JFM is playing himself into a situation where he very well might end up with 15, maybe even 20 mil on the open market based on his performance and level of play. That is a little bit too much for the Broncos and based on their overall depth on the defensive line. And frankly, there are 2 players that are deserving of more pay raise and more playing time. One is Malcolm Roach, and the other is, frankly, a guy who, pun intended, betted on himself quite literally in Uwama Awazarike. Awazarike has, frankly, if there's anybody, needs as much as these reps as anyone, and he's played himself into a situation where JFM really has become expendable at that. So I think it's just more so about the depth and just the overall financial aspect of it between 15 to 20 million for JFM.
I mean, I understand that, don't get me wrong, but they're going to have the money once that Russ deal's off the books. They could cough it up if they wanted to, especially considering they just gave $27 million guaranteed to a mediocre center. So for me, this is one where they are really thinking Savion Jones can develop into that replacement. I hope they're right. And again, their track record's been good, so I don't have any reason to not trust them here. But if I were the GM, I would be extending John Franklin Myers and Malcolm Roach, and I'd be looking to get a center on the cheap in free agency or possibly the draft. Probably more likely the draft in that sense, but still, man, like JFM, what he does on that defensive line, being able to collapse the pocket from the interior, he takes on double teams, he makes life easier for Zach Allen, he makes life easier for the edge rushers. He truly is the unsung hero on that defensive line. He doesn't get enough love from the national media, and like you said, Ken, he's going to get the bag wherever he goes. I'd pay him. I'd be willing to give him $20 million. I'd be willing to invest over $150 million or whatever the hell they're paying into that defensive line. I'd be willing to do it because he is that important to what they do on that D line, in my opinion.
At what point does he start losing his shit on Twitter again? Because he's being so disrespected. I mean, they're like, the reporters are making a point of saying that that's one name that the Broncos have not brought up, you know, like, and you know that Franklin Myers he is active either front and center or behind the scenes on Twitter for sure.
Yeah.
Pass blocking is not the issue for Luke Wattenberg. It's his run blocking and it's his snapping. Those are his two big problems.
Yeah. And I think that there is probably maybe a wild card on this. So like we were just talking about Ben Powers on here. I think we need to remind ourselves that Wattenberg was drafted with guard center flexibility.
Mm-hmm.
So as much as Alex Palczewski is a thing, right? And he's filled in quite nicely with Powers. Maybe the Broncos are also kind of still factoring in that versatility to where, you know, maybe they still look for that center, right? But you move on from Powers after 2026, but on that 2026 year, and you slide Wattenberg there at left guard, and there's your left guard. So yeah, it's just as I said. I mean, you still have Gargulio, but I don't know. He does have that versatility in his game, and frankly, there's a lot of players that are on that line that have that that flexibility. I mean, Forsyth came in the league of the pure center. He showed he could play guard. Gargulio came in this year in preseason, played exceptionally well, and then you have Powers, obviously, and Wattenberg. So they've got at least some depth there that they possibly could go in terms of an avenue if they wanted to.
Well, do you know what Powers is making next year if they decide to move on and that frees up the extra money for the cap?
I'm pretty sure financially they're stuck with Powers next year.
Are they? I thought that they were stuck this year.
Let me double check that.
I'm looking. I just pulled up Spot Track just now.
What do you got?
His base salary in 2025 is 11.4, and then his cap hit is 17.4. And then in 2026, his cap hit reaches or goes to 18.4, and that's barring.
Yeah, we're stuck with him. Yeah, he's staying.
I
shouldn't say we're stuck with him. He's not terrible.
Well, like before all these extensions, I know the Broncos had like $66 million in cap space this upcoming year. So
they got money to burn, man.
Yeah,
they've already got 53 players. Well, actually now 54 because they just extended Wattenberg. They got 54 players under contract and fully locked up. So, well, no, I mean still 53, but yeah, they've got a full roster of players under contract. So it's not like they've got to go out and make a bunch of moves in free agency, like little moves just to fill positions and fill depth. You know, they've got money to burn on some big players.
Yeah, and we need to go get some big players.
Figuratively and literally.
Yeah. Now,
I still want a big 360-pound nose tackle desperately.
Yeah, let's go get that guy that the Bucks dropped. What's his name? Rookie?
Desmond Watson.
Yeah, Desmond Watson. Just let him sit down in the middle of the line. It'll be fine.
That was the problem. That's all he could do.
Yeah. And we do know that the Broncos were in on a running back since J.K. Dobbins went down. They ran on Dameon Pierce, but it looks like he chose the Kansas City Chiefs practice squad. Why? I don't know. Have fun not making the playoffs, you jerk.
Yeah.
I'd honestly say that's lack of education, lack of due diligence by the player and his agent,
Yeah. Well,
both in terms of playing time and chance to win a championship.
yeah, and I think that if that's just kind of one of those things that if there is one position the Chiefs really needed to address, as much as Pacheco had been hurt, he's been underwhelming this year. Kareem Hunt is like 75 years old in the backfield, and they're still feeding him touches. You know, like they needed a running back, and Dameon Pierce kind of became available. My thing is, and I understand the argument of, you know, when they were probably wanting to sign him, they probably wanted to sign him to the practice squad, much like Kansas City did. My question, I guess, is because you can sign anybody off the practice squad. So why not just piss the Chiefs off and just give give Dameon Pierce a little bit more of an incentive and deal, and just pry him off the Chiefs practice squad. I'm just saying, it's not going to happen. But you know, it's one where they could do it. Teams have done that before, where you just pry a team from the practice squad. But at the end of the day, they needed to do something, probably doing a bigger back, if you will. But yeah, I mean, I'm not overly worried, which is weird.
Yeah.
If Denver was desperate enough for Pierce, they would have claimed him off waivers.
Right.
He passed through, so that means Denver was not that desperate.
Yeah. Rodney does ask an interesting question. This is the question that I was going to ask. J.K. Dobbins, is he more than likely gone? Now, don't get me wrong. I love J.K. Dobbins. He was running very well. I think he fits perfectly with what Denver's trying to do. However, he does get hurt every single year, and he's either misses multiple games or is done for the season multiple times.
I think that the two-word answer for me is it's status quo. Nothing's changed with JK. And the obviously I know that he gets injured every year, but the one thing I will say specific to just this year only, it wasn't his fault. Like the injury that he sustained, the injury that he sustained was not his fault.
Yeah.
The reality of bringing him back is just because of the history. That's the only reason why you don't bring him back. Everything that he had been given this team, the running game, everything that he operated with was the best running back that they frankly have had for quite some time. And you know, they needed that sort of stability. And frankly, I still think there's that chance they bring him back. The max I would say you probably ever want to do with him is probably a 2-year deal. But I mean, it is certainly one where I'm not ruling anything out. So it is very much still status quo on JK.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, I would love for him to be offered a 2-year contract like right now. I think he has stated that he wants to stay with the team. He wants to retire a Bronco. You show him the love right now. And I'm not saying you can lowball him, but I mean, that's probably what could happen. But it also says to these other guys on the team, it's just one more continuous example of this is a team that takes care of the players that work hard for them.
Yeah. I would agree. I think that there is a pattern, obviously, of the Broncos taking care of the guys who take care of them. But by that same token, you've got Dobbins, who they basically signed to a 1-year prove-it deal. What was it, June or July, whenever it was they brought him in. It was very late in the offseason. They kind of lucked into him. And the reason why he was available was because of the injuries. And yeah, this injury wasn't really his fault, but he still did get injured. And he's kind of proven you can't really depend on him to be the guy for a full 17-game season plus the playoffs. I'd love to bring him back, and I do think Denver will bring him back, but you've got RJ Harvey, who is a second-round pick. You're going to need to play him. He's probably going to become RB1 eventually. I would love to have Dobbins here as a rotational back, especially someone on early downs, but The Broncos are hoping long term that RJ Harvey becomes RB1.
Yeah.
No, without question. But what do you think you could, like, a 2-year, $5 million deal now? Or do you think
I don't
that's
know if
too
he'd
low?
go that low. It might be a little bit higher than that, but give him a deal that's front loaded. He gets a good chunk of the money in year 1, and then they can decide if they want to bring him back in year 2.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of a fair compromise for all sides
Okay.
involved.
Oh, that's good.
That way, he's got that second option in case they do want to bring him back, but he's also got flexibility in case RJ Harvey usurps him. He can move on and maybe dip back into the market before it's too late for him to get another significant paycheck.
And there's an argument to be made from JK's perspective. When you look at his overall career, he's been jumping up and around, right? Like he had a couple stable years there with Baltimore. Then he goes over the Chargers for that 1 year. So like at some point, I think JK in his mind has to feel like he needs to be locked down permanently. And I think that when you look at it from the standpoint of maybe him and just even in this the simple fact of the facility, them be able to train players right, get them healthy, and with where they are as a health overall franchise and getting players right, it frankly is the best thing for his career. It is the best thing for his career to stay in Denver for his health, for his long-term health. It is his, frankly, if it was me, my number one priority shouldn't be looking anywhere elsewhere. It should be, how can I get this deal from Denver, and what should that deal look like? And if they don't like it, let's see if we can make something work to where I stay here, where it should be Denver and only Denver.
Elway's been retired for a couple years. He probably doesn't know what he's doing on any given day.
You never know. That could have just been a troll comment. You never know.
No, I don't think so. I was watching it. So Elway was on the After the Horn show on Gorilla Sports.
Yeah.
And there were comments about him being GM in the stream, and I was just like, this is.
I mean, you've got the national media who doesn't know their ear hole from their asshole. Then you've got fans who genuinely think that it's some grand conspiracy and John Elway's still calling the shots around here and George Payton's just a puppet. Like, I've got fans in my comment section who ask me that at least once a month, and I have to be like, no, dude, John's out drinking martinis and playing golf in California. He does not give two shits about what the Broncos are doing right now.
I will say this. This is the first time in reference to Tyler Bidet that I've seen him be called ass wash. That's really funny. We just packed that in with this.
Absolute booty cheeks.
It's right there. All right. So Glenn and I were not able to be on the show last week, so we didn't talk a whole lot of Chiefs stuff, but we are going to talk about it today. Not so much the Chiefs game with the Broncos, but where the Broncos stand now, where the Chiefs stand now, where the AFC West is right now. So if you look at the current playoff standings after these last week's games, the Patriots are still number one after their win. The Broncos are number 2 in the AFC for playoff seeding. So that currently means that other than the Patriots, Broncos would be home for the entire playoffs unless we played the Patriots.
Well, the only reason the Patriots have the number 1 seed is they've played one extra game.
They haven't had their bye yet.
Broncos. Yeah.
So
as far as things are concerned right now, Denver's in good shape to get the 1 seed.
Yeah, and I'm actually a little bit so even though Denver was on a bye, and even though Kansas City won, Kansas City dropped a spot, and Denver still stayed at number 2 because the Colts lost. Now, I personally wanted the Colts to win just because longer down the line, right? Like, I don't even want the Chiefs sniffing the playoffs. I don't want it to be a dogfight for the AFC West at the end of the season, right? So I wanted the Chiefs to lose so we didn't have to worry about it because they are only 3 games back. Yes, we won, but they're still only 3 games back with 6 games left. It could happen, and that's what worries me a little bit.
Mike, and what you're saying is the exact correct answer if you're a Broncos fan. You never want the Chiefs to win. I mean, the best thing, if the Chiefs are the 7th seed, I'm still nervous about them being in the playoffs. We have to. somebody needs to drive a stake through their heart. And the Colts just not being able to make that happen. I mean, I just feel like it's going to end up Christmas night's going to be a pretty significant game in my opinion, in terms of, just getting the Chiefs completely out of there, and the Broncos may just have to take care of business on their own.
Yeah, and that was one of the things that I was thinking of, right? Like, yes, we beat the Chiefs our last game, right? But we all know what it's like facing the Chiefs in the playoffs. We all know what they look like in the playoffs. Maybe they're not the same team this year. Do you really want to test that theory? Because I don't.
Yes.
I don't know. I don't want to see them in the playoffs.
I'm not scared of them. They're the better football team.
We are, but do you want to try to beat them 3 games in a row?
Yep.
That's.
I don't think we're going to need that second game. I don't think we're going to need the Christmas game. If Denver wins their next 4, they're the number 1 seed. They won't need help. That Chiefs game, we might be playing starters in the first half just so they're not rusty, but we might be sitting starters the second half because it will not matter.
No, Gage, I'm talking about that game would be for us to get them out of the playoff situation, not necessarily for our seed. I was thinking like that we hit, like, somebody needs to wipe these guys out.
Yeah,
I know Denver's only worried about one thing, and that's themselves.
So we were going for a tie. Is that what the goal was?
That's what I was pulling for personally, because it would have screwed both teams over.
Right. Well, and I understand that the Patriots are on a 9-game win streak. They're 10-2. I understand the Colts beat us, but the Colts have leveled off. They're not looking as good as they were. The Patriots, they have a really easy schedule. And I know that it's difficult to win 10 games in the NFL. I know it's difficult to win any game in the NFL, but their schedule is just so soft. I'm not that worried about the Patriots, but then you go up against the Chiefs. I understand we beat the Chiefs and the Christmas game might not matter, but I don't want them in the playoffs at all. I don't want them anywhere close.
Well, yeah, and I think that, with the overall game itself, there probably was no wrong answer. Just me being a Broncos fan, it was just really hard for me to root for the Chiefs. It's just really hard for me to root for the Chiefs. And I just think that, in the grand scheme of things, they knocked off the Chiefs. But it's kind of those things in college football, when you face a second team and it's in the bowl season, that's a hard thing to come by. And beating a team second or even 3 times. And at the end of the day, it's really just about beating them that 3rd time. Whatever happens on that Christmas game is whatever happens. But it's just, it's when we actually get to playoff time and you already beat out the allegations of the Kansas City Chiefs. Well, now you got to beat the allegations of the Kansas City Chiefs, the refs, and everything in the playoffs, which the heightened level of stress that you're dealing with there is already far too much than what it needed to be. And that it's one of the reasons why the Chiefs just simply need to be out. And granted, there's a few games that are still, not easy when it comes to the Chiefs schedule here. I mean, obviously Thanksgiving, they have Dallas, which is, if anything is going to end up being what we've seen against that Eagles and Dallas game, Dallas is going to be a bit of a tough game. And obviously they still got to face Houston. Mahomes actually has to face Houston, and that's going to be a bit of a tough test for Mahomes. So, I mean, they have a bit of a tough task ahead of them. But if there's one thing we know that the Chiefs have on their side, it's those referees.
Okay, so the Chiefs have the Cowboys on Thanksgiving, then they have the Texans, then they have the Chargers, then the Titans, then the Broncos, then the Raiders. So 1, 2.
I see 2 losses there
3?
for them.
Yeah, I'm seeing 3 wins at least.
I see a loss against the Chargers, and I see a loss against oh God, what was there? I had one more. Who was it again?
You got Cowboys, Texans, Chargers, Titans, Broncos, Raiders.
Chargers and Texans.
Chargers?
Yeah, I think so. Chargers beat them once this year, and that might be the Chargers Super Bowl sweeping the Chiefs.
Dude, that the Chargers' offensive line is just
That's a
slow.
little. I don't trust Dallas on any given week, so I can't pick them to beat Kansas City.
But if there's one thing that's good in
Go Rams!
if there's one thing that's good in their direction, it's that it's at home. Like it's at home. And they play so much better. They play so much better when it comes to at home, and obviously the only thing going in the Chiefs' favor with the Texans is they're actually in Arrowhead for that game against the Texans.
Yeah,
I'm just gonna put it this way: if the Denver Broncos are scared about the Chiefs in the playoffs, then they don't deserve to be Super Bowl champions this year. This team needs to have the mindset that they can beat anybody, anywhere, anytime. They could go out and play them in a fucking landfill for all I care. This Broncos team is better than the Chiefs. I don't care about the refs. I don't care about Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, Andy Reid, Chris Jones, any of those motherfuckers. This Broncos team is built to beat them and put them in the ground. I'm done with this team being scared. We're the better team. We are out to prove it, and I want to beat the best en route to winning the Super Bowl, damn it.
I'm good with just
We have
winning. I
hair
don't care who we
flying.
beat.
I don't think the team is afraid of the Chiefs.
Yeah,
I
team's
think.
not afraid.
We are. I am. I don't want to see him. Go away.
Hey, bring up Mikey's comment, please.
Oh, wrong one. Here we go.
I want them out of the playoffs just because of pure old-fashioned AFC West hatred. It's not because I'm scared.
Yeah, but
It's useless.
I was gonna say it has nothing. It has nothing to do with the team. The team ain't scared. There is one
I
thing.
noticed how Gage stopped after that. Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
he left that last sentence out.
Are we afraid of the Bills or Ravens? No.
But no, yeah.
See Josh Allen get beaten up the other night. Man, that was something else. Like he
A
he
little
did
more
not
scared
look
of the
himself.
Ravens than the Bills. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But no, if there's one thing we know about this Bronco team, though, they have never played scared this entire season.
It used to be.
And then Derek Wolf happened.
No,
that wasn't
Brandon
just
Perna.
me.
Perna was
And
so-
Perna.
Yeah.
Perna, but then Derek Wolf.
Yeah.
And then the wheels came completely off.
It really did. All right. So you got
I can't be like that on Broncos Syndicate. This is my outlet. You get unfiltered Gauge on this show.
We'll have to put a PG-13 warning on it. So the Denver Broncos are 9-2, first in the AFC West. Los Angeles Chargers 7-4. Kansas City Chiefs 6-5. Yeah, Raiders. Who even cares? But you've got a 2-game lead on the Chargers and a 3-game lead on the Chiefs. So right now the West is good. Things can still happen. Do I think it will? No. But I do think we're making the playoffs. I don't think that there's any question on whether we're going to make the playoffs. I think there's a 96% chance right now, as far as playoff picture goes, that the Broncos make the playoffs. The question I have then is, with the remaining games that we have, are we winning out?
I mean, the next 4 look pretty damn good. I'm not going to lie. That Packers game and that Jaguars game, it kind of depends what version of those two respective teams show up that week. But again, I don't know if there's a team out there that's better than the Denver Broncos right now. So I'm confident that Denver can take care of business.
Gage, did you have your pre-show toke?
No, actually, because I went straight from my show.
That's why. He's throwing out MFers here and MFers there. Doesn't even care.
Gage looking like Luke Wattenberg right now, too.
Got the lettuce flowing.
It just needs black hair.
All right, so we have.
Well, but I think that when you look at the Broncos schedule, the Commanders game probably at the beginning of the season would have been one, like the Commanders, right? And I think that, like, if there's really any game aside from the Chiefs game, because that's kind of obvious, but like if there's really any game or games that is really a cause for concern, it's the Jacksonville game at home and the Packers game at home. Jacksonville is just one where you don't know what Jags team is going to show up, right? Like, and that's really just the biggest thing that should scare you, regardless of the fact of how banged up they've been. You don't know what team's going to show up, so that should be a bit of a scary one. And then the Packers, right? Like the Packers are pretty hit and miss, but when they're on, they are one of the best teams in the NFL. And so
When was the last time they were on?
that's what we're fixing to find out.
In a few weeks.
You stop it.
But no, it's
Wow.
it. I think that that's just that could be an interesting game because but I think they're in the grand scheme of things, I think those two games don't necessarily impact whether or not the Broncos are going to end up having the number 1 seed. And so if they win the rest of their games, which is they're probably going to win on Sunday, then they'll beat the Raiders, then they have the Packers game. If they win again with the Chiefs, I mean, you're still talking about the prediction we've had that you guys had at the beginning of the season, which is 13-4, like almost like 14-3, which is if you're 14-3, you're automatically probably going to be having that number 1 seed. I think you have if you're going for seeding, the Broncos have to hit, I'd say, at least 13 wins.
Well, then let's look at it this way, right? So you got Denver number 2, you got New England number 1. So let's go through the Patriots' schedule here.
They've got 2 losses on their schedule, in my opinion.
The Giants next, and then they've got a bye. And then Bills, Ravens, Jets, Dolphins.
I'm giving them L's against the Bills and the Ravens. The Bills are going to need that game desperately, so I think they're going to play their best football in that one. So I don't see them losing that one, the Bills. And then they've got the Ravens in Baltimore. It's always tough beating the Ravens in Baltimore, especially now that Lamar and Henry and that entire team's kind of back to full health. I think those are both losses for the Patriots right there, and that might put Denver ahead of them.
But also, they have not played spectacular football, truly. I mean, Drake May has been good, but I mean, they beat the Falcons by 1 point. They've lost their left tackle for a bit now. So it's like it's going to be pretty.
Have you seen their schedule? The Patriots?
Yeah.
Yes.
They played the Raiders, Dolphins, Panthers, Saints.
They lost to the Raiders, by the way.
Browns, Falcons, Jets, and Bengals so far. So,
yeah, I mean,
high-powered teams.
schedule.
And Joe Flacco was driving that Bengals team down for the winning drive. I think if T. Higgins were still, if he were healthy at that point, or if Jamar Chase were in the game, I mean, those receivers had as much experience as we do in the NFL. So it's like, that was really touch and go for the Patriots in that game.
Yeah. Well, and I think that if there's 2 games that frankly could go in either direction in terms of a surprise, it's this Giants game that's upcoming, and it's the Dolphins at the end of the year. If there is one thing historically, and granted it had been the Tom Brady years, but if there had been one thing we know about the New England Patriots in their times of even going to the playoffs or even, frankly, even seeding, if there's one thing we know, it's that the Miami Dolphins have played spoiler for the New England Patriots for I don't know how long. And given the fact about how tricky the Dolphins are and their offense and whatever team decides to actually show up at that certain point, they can steal that game from New England. And then, you have the Giants, which they're already kind of playing with house money. There's nothing else to lose at this point. You're starting Jameis Winston. The defense is really, really good. And if there's one thing that they can really keep them in that game, it is the defense. And so I think the Giants game is probably, between the two of them, is probably this one upcoming that's I would be banking on if you're actually going to be getting a surprise win in favor of the Broncos, it would be that Giants.
Jackson Dart was coming back this week.
That's another huge shot in the arm for the Giants as well.
No, the Giants didn't beat the Lions, Cairo. They should have, but they allowed things to get out of hand, go into overtime and lose. But to Cairo's point about the Patriots schedule, are they a good team? Yes, actually they are. They are a good team. Contrary to what I was just talking about with some of these games and some of the losses and some of the close ones, this was a team that picked in the top 5 last year or in this past draft because their record was so poor. So for them to actually now have the number of wins that they do says that they're a good team. It's not the schedule won't. They didn't have a great schedule last year, and they were a terrible team. So there's much improvement with that.
Yeah.
Additionally, there is something to monitor with the Patriots, though. They lost 2 starting offensive linemen in that last game for multiple weeks. So that might cause some regression on that offensive side.
Yeah.
And not laughing about it, but not upset about it either. So we've had a whole lot of conversation about the Broncos and the playoffs and seeding and where they stand in the AFC West. There are 2 things that I want to cover. And I don't know if you guys covered it last week or not. But one would be the cornerback position, specifically Riley Moss. And another would be wide receiver. And I bring that up because Brandon Cooks just cleared waivers and kind of want to talk about that too.
Well, he signed with the Bills, so he's
Did he already?
Yeah, it was never an option for Denver anyway.
Okay. So the one thing I do want to talk about with Riley Moss, and I love Riley Moss. I think he's very talented. I think he's played well, but he does draw a lot of pass interferences, a lot. And I don't know if it's all like something that can be fixed. I don't know if it's a skill thing on him. I don't know if it's a bad circumstance, refs. I don't know what it is, but he's drawn the most amount of pass interference penalties of any corner in the NFL. We've seen some great play out of Chris Abrams-Drain. We've seen some great play out of Jahdae Barron. We saw McMillan with a killer game against the Chiefs. Do we stick with Riley Moss? Is it something we can fix, or do we move on to another corner?
I think they stick with it. But I think that to just address it, it's everything. I mean, like, it is everything. And as much as we think that Riley Moss has had a great year, those penalties, right, wrong, indifferent, have made big impacts in games.
And they didn't end up like costing the Broncos a game, but the game wouldn't be as close or having to come back at the end if we don't have some of those penalties. You know what I mean?
And this is where I would give a lot of praise and credit to Riley himself. Because obviously that game against the Kansas City Chiefs, after the game, he did address the fact that he has got to stop being a little bit grabby, which if there is one thing that he is a victim of, is he is a little bit grabby, right? Yeah. Like he is a little bit grabby. And that is really just the biggest thing. And I think he made the comment of like, he's got to be training with boxing gloves, right? Like he made that comment, like, and I think that that's going to be beneficial for him. He's too smart of a corner and too good of a corner, frankly, for cornerback too, for him to be having those penalties, right, wrong, and different. But like, I just think that it is one where it's a bit of a game changer. Now, I will say this is more so not a Riley Moss thing. But in regards to the Kansas City Chiefs game, that was the entirety of their offense. You want to know how trash the Kansas City Chiefs offense was? They were relying on short game and trying to draw penalties from Riley Moss that entire game. That was the entirety of their game plan. So that should let you know about how trash and how bad the Kansas City Chiefs were against the Broncos there. Now, I'm not trying to bring down Riley Moss in a sense of like, propping up Riley Moss with that. I'm just saying that like, that is legitimately what happened in that game, was that they were penalty hunting, and that should tell you enough about how terrible that offense was.
Right. And sorry, before we continue with that, again, like I'm not trashing Riley Moss.
Oh, yeah.
And I think more of this conversation is because of how good the three behind him are, right? Like Chris Abrams-Drain, McMillan, and Jahdae Barron. It's not so much a detriment to Riley Moss, but it's how well those three have played. Like we haven't seen the penalties. Again, they haven't played as much as Riley Moss, but with how skilled those three are behind him, do we need to start thinking about lessening his snaps? Do we completely take him out? Do we move him to another side? Does he go in the slot instead of on the outside? What do we do?
I think if we were to eliminate Riley Moss from the starting lineup, we would be having these exact same conversations about whoever replaces him. because that player is going to get picked on. No matter who it is, the player who's opposite of Pat Surtain is going to get picked on. Does Riley need to stop being so grabby? 100%.
Yep.
The refs need to be more fair when officiating how Riley plays. Yes. Some of these calls have been absolute garbage. Or, Mike, bring it up. Do the clip.
Oh, God. You got
Absolute booty cheeks.
You got to give me more heads up than that.
I would say at least 40% of the calls on Riley are absolute booty cheeks. The other 60, they are ones that need to be cleaned up. And quite frankly, I think they will be. Riley Moss is a really good player. You ask other players in the NFL, you ask more advanced analysts out there, even on the national level, they'll all tell you Riley Moss is really good. Chris Abrams-Reine's a really good player too. I like him. I was screaming for joy whenever the Broncos drafted him. I think Barron is going to be the long-term starting nickel if they let Jaquan McMillan walk in free agency. But Riley Moss is the second best corner on this football team, and you can't take that away from him. You've got to ride this thing out with him because he gives us our best chance. And the fact is, with how this defense is playing, you're not benching anybody out there. Not a soul.
So you just mentioned Jaquan and free agency, Gage, and that was going to be my point is do you guys see them bringing him back? Because that would be, in my opinion, a massive loss if of all the guys that could walk, he's the one that worries me the most.
He's an RFA, right?
He is an
Yes.
RFA.
Okay.
So anything that would happen, it would have to be at the what happens from another team. And then once that happens, the Broncos have, I think it's like 3 or 4 days to match it.
Mhm.
Like they have 3 or 4 days to match that said deal. They did that with CJ Anderson when the Broncos signed that contract extension with CJ Anderson. I think the person to keep in mind here when it comes to that is Jahdae Barron. Barron, I think, allows them the flexibility, whether they view him on the outside or what they view him as. His versatility allows them so much to where you can keep Jaquan McMillan, and then you can just use Barron however it is that you want to. I could frankly even just say that Barron's been a little bit of a godsend to this defense because of the secondary help that he's been able to provide, which is being able to play in multiple different spots. So I would just say they may not play him, they may not pay Jaquan like the money yet, but I will say the way things are trending, if there is a team that is going to rewrite the entire market for cornerback contracts, it's the Denver Broncos, because I think that Riley Moss is going to get to a point where it may or may not be to a point where it's not the Pat Surtain kind of contract, but he might be earning the 20-ish million a year contract that's going to kind of set the bar even higher. And then you have Jaquan McMillan, who's going to set another bar when it comes to the nickel corners, and that is actually paying them probably upwards to about the 10 to 15 million a year range when it comes to the nickel corners. And so once you see that, I think that's when you're going to start to see a lot of teams really factor in the importance of that corner.
Would you move Moss to safety? At this point, no. I mean, you
No,
got
corner.
Hufanga and you got Jones, and you've got
And
some
Barron,
backups.
possibly.
Yeah, Barron I could see because he's more of a physical hitter than Riley is.
Yeah. You all sent Von Miller over a few years ago. Got us up.
I mean, you guys got your ring out of that, so you're welcome. We got Nick Benito out of that trade, so I'd say it was a win-win.
And it almost feels like Jaquan McMillan is going to be the odd man out, right? Like this next offseason.
I actually have,
there's so many options. Like unless you're paying him, because if the plan is to move Barron to the starting nickel, and then put McMillan behind him, you're paying McMillan a pretty penny to.
You wouldn't put
starter,
McMillan
right?
behind him by that point. You would let him walk if that were the case.
Right.
And I got to be honest, I think there's some team out there that's going to make Jaquan the highest paid nickel in the league, and I don't know if Denver's going to match that deal.
So
Yeah.
would we get it? We would get a draft pick in return.
We would.
So what do we put it at? Second round, first round?
I would
third
actually
round? What do you
be
think?
I would actually be spicy. I would actually say first round tender on J-Mac.
You could put that on him. That's
Really?
well within the Broncos' right to do so.
I didn't figure they'd go more than third.
You can't. You can't
For
do it.
RFA?
You can't. It's first and there's one that there's like 3 levels, and one isn't really a third round
I
tender.
thought
So
it was first, second, third. And
No.
you didn't go below a third.
it's first and second, and there's something else that they
Okay.
label on it for a tender or something.
I think it's just kind of like a right of first refusal tender or something like that. I think it's kind of like the one they did with Philip Lindsay.
A
Where-
chicken tender. Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't really a tender at all,
Chicken
basically.
nuggets.
Chicken tender from Raising Cane's.
And eventually
Oh,
they
I'll
said,
take that.
"No, we're not even going to bother with that, Phil. We're just going to release you, and you'll be a free agent now."
But also-
Ooh.
But also, I think that this is such an interesting dynamic because the way this ownership group has operated this team, they love their players and they are doing everything they can to honor and reward the players that are on their roster, right? So I'm just not ruling anything out, frankly, at this point. I know, and I say all of this too to kind of bring it back to where I know we mentioned that it seems likely that Jonathan Franklin Myers is headed elsewhere with the big money deal. Frankly, if there is a situation where Franklin Myers, who came from New York as an unappreciated, if you will, defensive lineman, and he's somewhat underappreciated here, I would want to stay here because it feels like with that money situation, with what Denver's going to be able to provide, I would try and figure out something contractually where I'm staying here and I'm getting maybe a little bit below market value, but it's also right around guaranteed money where I need it to be. So it's just like, I don't know. If I'm Franklin Myers, I'm leaning hard that, yeah, I think walking would be nice and getting that deal. But I love the idea to be in this team, this moment, and keep that chemistry at still an all-time high.
And winning, Cam.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like this guy came from the Jets, as you mentioned. Like he's seen it, he's lived it. Like,
Exactly.
Yeah. And if you think about it from the Broncos' perspective, let's just be honest. Over these past like 5 to 10 years, the quality of free agency has dipped. Pretty much every single year, it gets worse and worse. Like, I remember this past free agent cycle, we were talking about all of these free agents that might become available. They all re-signed with their respective teams because the teams didn't want to let these good players out the building. It's not often that good players hit free agency unless there's some sort of risk involved. Denver would know that. They signed 3 risky free agents in Talanoa Hufanga, Dre Greenlaw, and Evan Ingram.
Yeah.
That goes to show how irrelevant Evan Ingram's been.
And it is kind of cool, and it makes you hope for free agency next year that there are some good players that slip through into free agency because Denver has owners that have money that can throw it around at free agents. And by all accounts, Denver's going to be big players in free agency this coming offseason.
and what's a more
I will
attractive
say, like-
destination? I mean,
Sorry,
really,
go ahead.
what's a more attractive destination than Denver? You have
Hawaii.
a brand new practice facility, the Aloha Bowl. You have this new
Sorry,
practice
it's really
facility
cold
of
out
the
here, so
richest
Hawaii.
owners. You have a young quarterback. You have the best defensive player in the NFL. You have a new stadium on the horizon. You have a rabid fan base that's sold out every game since 1969.
And
I
thinks
mean, this
Elway's
is-
the GM.
That's right. You have John Elway, who's making moves on his scooter and in the boardroom. I mean, this I can't think of. I think this is going to be people are going to beeline. But I do have to ask you guys because I brought it up in our group chat this morning.
Yeah.
I think Justin Jefferson is going to want to be traded out of Minnesota. I cannot imagine that he's going to be that he's happy with the situation there. And now that Chicago is the leader in the NFC Central, I mean, this is or NFC North, I should say. I mean, this is crazy, right?
God,
What
you're
do you
old,
think it-
Glenn.
Like, well, I'm just saying,
What
like,
do you think? What do you think it would take to pry Justin Jefferson away in a trade for the Minnesota Vikings.
I would.
Sorry, I never thought we were going to have this conversation.
Yeah.
But don't the Minnesota Vikings look stupid for letting Sam Darnold go?
The Minnesota was in such a weird place. Like, if you look at hindsight 2020, they were in such a weird place because at that point in time, there really was no wrong way that they could have gone about
Daniel
it.
Jones too, guys. They had both of them.
I will say this: there was
Cousins before that.
I will say this though: there was a window that they never attacked it that I thought was probably its best window and best alternative, and that was paying Darnold, but paying him in a contract that is a bridge to JJ, and they never did that. But as far as JJ, you give him whatever you want. If they want Cortland, take Cortland, but you set the bar at 2 first-round picks.
Yeah, minimum.
And you ask him, okay, who do you want? We'll give you 2 first-round picks, but who do you want? You can take anybody. And
Pat Bryant.
I would even trade Pat Bryant. Obviously not.
You said anyone.
You're being way too literal. But I'm just saying,
that's so unlike Mike is to pick
Marvin Mims and 2 first-round picks, Troy Franklin and 2 first-round picks, a defensive player and 2 first-round picks. It's just you just basically said 2 first-round picks and whatever Minnesota wanted in return, you send them and you get Justin Jefferson. I will say though, to circle back on this though, I'm still in the back of my mind wondering whether or not the Broncos still kick the tires on Jalen Waddle in this offseason. Because I've been hearing some stuff about Waddle and his love of Denver for the past year and a half, maybe 2 years now. And this is the first official time that the Waddle and Denver stuff has now gotten public. And now that it's gotten public, and it's pretty well known that Waddle loved Denver and wants to be in Denver and wants to be with Pat Surtain, I'm not ruling anything out. And frankly, there's another wide receiver I have to throw out here because he's a free agent. The moment he even sniffs free agency is the moment I'm calling Mike Evans. And based on Tampa Bay's wide receiver room and the way things have been shaking out there, would not surprise me if they legitimately let Evans walk.
There you go.
It's funny when you said the name Mike Evans at first, my mind didn't go to Mike Evans, the receiver. Host. Yes, it went to Mike Evans, the radio host.
Yeah, there you go.
As far as Justin Jefferson, we can dream all we want. Minnesota's not trading him. He is not going to be on the market. They would want, I think the asking price would probably be 4 first-round picks and then some. This would be more than the Russell Wilson deal. Justin Jefferson is the best receiver in the game. He's a franchise-altering player, and there's no draft capital or other players that would be more beneficial to the Minnesota Vikings than Justin Jefferson. So,
but there's no franchise there, Gage.
Well,
they're what is their I don't want to say prognosis, but what does their outlook look like for these next few years? I mean, they're fucked, dude.
No, not really. I mean, if they are willing to admit that JJ is not the guy this season, if they're willing to admit they failed, they can correct this.
Who they can get is they have Max Brosmer, the former UNH Wildcat, is starting this weekend.
Hey, Geno Smith
I think
might become available
up there. Kirk Cousins.
He's going to be.
That's what I said.
And honestly, that might be enough to make Justin Jefferson happy.
Listen, in the same way that I was shocked that they didn't re-sign Sam Darnold, it shocked me even more they didn't try to even make a trade for Kirk Cousins from Atlanta.
I actually have a wild card fit, or frankly, one that makes maybe too much sense. Mac Jones in Minnesota.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, that would make sense too.
He's not a free agent, though. He signed a 2-year contract with the Niners.
Ooh, that's true. I didn't think of that. I could see a number of different veterans over there in Minnesota. Not that one. Russell Wilson's done.
Jameis Winston
retire at the end of this year. I'm very confident in saying
that. Should even retire.
You know who actually makes sense? Trey Lance. or Anthony Richardson, because we saw that clip with Kevin O'Connell and Anthony Richardson. That's one. But Trey Lance, he's a Minneapolis native. He's from there. And he played really well in the preseason for the Chargers. He's a former top pick. And if there's anybody who can salvage a former top pick, it is Kevin O'Connell. Apparently, he can't salvage the one that he handpicked himself, but you give him Daniel Jones or give him Sam Darnold, he can work with that all day long. So that's the type of quarterback I could see going to Minnesota, along with a Kirk Cousins or somebody like that. But I believe they're going to probably end up moving on and accepting that they fucked up with J.J. McCarthy. And if you're choosing between keeping J.J. McCarthy or Justin Jefferson, the choice isn't even a choice, quite frankly.
And that huffing and puffing video of JJ in the locker room when he's like, have you seen that one? I'm like, oh, I'm scared.
I think like the greatest part about this entire conversation is that everything is going so well in Broncos country that we're talking about the Vikings.
They were talking about taking their,
because we don't have that much to complain about.
Well, and the other side of this too is we have a head coach who quite literally trolled the entire franchise and fan base for thinking that we were interested in JJ McCarthy, and we never were. You know, and so like it falls back on the fact that Sean Payton has literally changed the trajectory of where things are going for the for the Broncos right now. Yeah. I mean, so much so that even in that offseason, I believe with Bo, they were interested in Darnold, right? Like
they were,
like the Broncos. It was the Minnesota Vikings, right? It was the Minnesota Vikings for Darnold, and it was the Denver Broncos for Darnold, and he chose the Vikings. And so what? So how? Like, man,
I don't know. I tried to turn it back on, it didn't work.
It's the should we just name it the Bo Only Fans? The Bo Only Fans?
Our Only Fans are just pictures of Mike's feet.
Dude, that's exactly what I was thinking.
Mike's feet make Fred Flintstone look
my feet are sexy. You stop it. I got some good looking feet.
Okay? My cat's feet would make more money than yours.
They look like Hobbit feet.
Cat's feet.
A pool table has better legs than Mike.
Maybe a Hobbit's feet.
Look like Hobbit feet.
Whatever.
They got moss growing on them and everything.
Riley moss.
Yeah, Riley moss is hanging off.
Those stickies growing on Mike's feet.
Just like Riley, Mike's grabby himself.
As much as I can, yes. So one last thing before we get into the Commanders game. We do need to talk just a little bit about running back because, again, we don't have J.K. Dobbins. We have R.J. Harvey, who was okay.
Yeah.
He was okay. But you also saw McLaughlin step up a little bit. Mm-hmm. Is that what we're running with, or are we bringing somebody else up? Are we going to see more of Asswash? Like, what exactly are we going to see here?
I think
definitely not the latter. I can tell you that.
I think you're just still going to see a bit of a committee. I think just the one wrinkle that everybody wants, and I've been wanting since week one, is just Bo Nix wrinkles. I need Bo Nix wrinkles in the running game, you know. And I think that there was one play we didn't get a chance to talk about, and it was in that Chiefs game where they did that quarterback draw where I could have sworn he got the first down, but he didn't get the first down because it was the Kansas City Chiefs game. The vision could have been better for Bo, but that's due to lack of reps. If you do that more and more, Bo's going to see that and he's going to expose it, and then he'll be a little bit more explosive on those runs. I just think you're going to see a little bit more of what you've seen because I need them to prove it. I need them to prove the fact that that they can start using Bo's legs more. I will say, though, I was impressed just for a first start with R.J. Harvey. Funny enough, like obviously Pro Football Focus's grades are wonky. They gave him an 83 grade when it comes to pass blocking, RJ Harvey. So because I thought he had some decent enough like pass reps, which if you're going to want to be earning some more opportunities, that would be a good way to start. So I just think you see more of the same, but I need more Bo running reps, man.
Agreed, man. Like Bo Nix is such a dynamic athlete with the ball in his hands, and Denver needs to stay ahead of the chains. You need to try to make 1st and 10 into 2nd down and 5, and using Bo Nix in the run game will make it so much easier, not only for when Bo's carrying the ball, but whenever the running backs are carrying the ball, because defenses are always going to have to respect the possibility of number 10 pulling it and keeping it. So you should have lighter boxes because of that. That'll open things up, but the Denver Broncos do seemingly want to bring in another running back, but it's somebody they want on the practice squad as opposed to the active roster. That's according to Benjamin Albright. So that kind of takes away guys like, now Dameon Pierce and, Cam Akers up in Minnesota, funny enough. Those guys are kind of out of the equation right now because they're already on other teams' practice squads, but maybe you see him bring in a Zach Moss or a Jamal Williams. I'd say at this point in time, it's probably going to be status quo in that room, though.
I was going to say,
Deuce Vaughn.
There's a guy who's about my height and about, 145 pounds.
I think he might have a couple inches on him, Cam.
Yeah, and that would be Deuce Vaughn.
Listen, I was always told size didn't matter, okay? So we don't need to
how
talk
you
about
use it.
it.
And listen, if Cam can get a couple inches on anybody, he's up for it.
I will say this though, in the grand scheme of things of special teams, which deservedly gives one big hard smack on the rear for that game against the Kansas City Chiefs.
That's what I'm talking about.
I think that if there's one little wrinkle I would love to see, and if you are going to see a little bit more from Jaleel, Deuce Vaughn on kickoffs.
Yeah. I mean, at this point, why not, right? I mean, he's on the roster. I'd love to see him at least get some game action just so we know what we have in him. But
number two, 1 seed or whatever. And then in that Chargers game, the final game of the year, we start him and he has that game that he had against TCU where he just goes bananas, and then he ends up signing for some team.
Yeah. All right. We got the Broncos and Commanders on Sunday night. How are we? Obviously, we're not having Jaden Daniels. It sounds like he's out for this game, so we don't have to worry about him. So we're going to get Marcus Mariota.
Yep.
Right?
We are.
Yep.
We are going to get Marcus Mariota because Dan Quinn was an absolute fool and decided to play Jaden Daniels further into the game.
I'm going to that's what's going to happen.
And
that's a boy right there, Mike.
That's a Quinn move if I ever saw one.
Dan
you know what
Quinn
you call that?
as well as Travis Hunter plays.
In case you guys are unfamiliar, this guy right above me wanted the Denver Broncos to hire Dan Quinn over Sean Payton.
No, I wanted to hire Dan Quinn over Nathaniel Hackett.
He still wanted Dan Quinn.
He still wanted Dan Quinn.
I did, and I still do. Always will.
Dan Quinn, the current leader of a 3-8 football team.
Sam Hartman can come with him. That makes everything worth it.
We'll have like a planes, trains, and automobile scene there. Those aren't pillows.
Yeah.
But
making fun of me for Dan Quinn. Y'all notice the Jags are playing better without Travis Hunter? Yeah, suck it. How about that?
I mean, we got apples and
so Commanders and Broncos. What are we seeing here?
I'd be surprised if it's not a beatdown, actually.
I mean, given the way that the Commanders' defense has been playing, it should be a beatdown. Like, Denver's offense should be in rhythm, but given the way that they've been playing against bad defenses recently, it's like, do we really trust Denver's offense to show up? Hopefully they do, but they play down to their competition, so you kind of have to worry a little bit about a trap game here. I mean, it's an East Coast game. It's at night. It's going to be kicking off at 8 p.m. At 8 p.m. Washington time, 6 p.m. Denver time. So that is something that the Broncos are going to have to contend with. They're still an NFL team. The offense, at least from a schematic standpoint, doesn't change a whole lot with Marcus Mariota out there because he's still a mobile quarterback. He can do a lot of the designed quarterback runs. He's got a plenty good arm. He's a former number 2 overall pick in his own right. So I think that the Denver Broncos, if they take care of their business, play sound, fundamental, disciplined football, and keep their foot on the gas for all 4 quarters, there's no reason why this shouldn't be a blowout. But the Broncos are going to have to work against some circumstances like the travel and stuff like that. I think they will.
I mean, I'm surprised that this game is still the Sunday night game. I thought it was going to be flexed out for sure, especially after that injury. But
Yeah,
I see it. I see Broncos 37-17 on this one.
Wow.
I'd be shocked if it were not a significant difference.
Well, and I think it's one where you look at this game and it's one that's like, I come back to it and they're coming off of a bye, right? Like they're coming off of a bye. And when you think about the game they just had, and I said it, but like the fact that they had that game against the Chiefs in what they had in all 3 phases going into the bye, we're going to look back on that game specifically for the true turning point for the rest of the season when it comes to specifically the offensive side of the ball. And I think that while they didn't really necessarily put up all the rushing numbers, if there's one thing that they proved, Bo Nix proved, if you will, he can win a freaking game against an elite defensive coordinator when it matters. And I think that should give the Bronco fans so much hope, because they can go win a game where he's throwing 300, yards all over Dan Quinn's, pathetic secondary. And, and then he throws up and puts up 4 touchdowns and proves in the Dan Quinn, Sean Payton Bowl that Sean Payton was the right head coach and he wasn't third in line for the throne of the Denver Broncos head coaching job.
I swear to God, me and Cam are going to fight next time.
We should call it the Mundungus Bowl.
The Mundungus Bowl.
The Sam Hartman Bowl.
There we go. As far as games that can get better ratings, I mean, are there options as to what games you can flex and what games you can't?
So each network, whenever a game is subject to get flexed, they've got one game that their network has that they can protect. Usually it's the best one. And outside of that, there just weren't any good games out there. So I think they just kept this one on Sunday Night Football just by virtue of not having a good replacement.
Like Buffalo, Pittsburgh would be a good one.
That one would probably be protected.
Houston and Indy would be a good one.
That one might have been a good candidate. I might have done that one.
Everybody wants to see Shedeur. So Cleveland and
I
San
think
Francisco.
the other side of this too is just like there's just certain games.
Chicago and Philly.
There's just certain games you cannot.
That'd be good.
But like
that one's in national spotlight already. That one can't get flexed.
But I was gonna say, like, there's certain games where you can't flex out just strictly because of what you guys are saying, like contractually. Like, sadly, we have to hear Chris Collinsworth on the mic, when we, watch Bo Nix, beat the Washington Commanders. But I just think that when you see it, I think it's almost like a firm, they can't change it. And if they had to change it, it had to have been 2 weeks out. Like,
Wait, that's not a Romo game, is it?
No.
Are we getting? Oh, thank God.
We're getting Chris Collinsworth though.
Better than Romo.
Yeah.
I mean, it's as long as Collinsworth's not calling him a Mahomes game, I think he's tolerable. But anytime you got Mahomes in the equation,
Yeah.
Tolerable.
I think this game is going to come down to the same thing we've been talking about all season. If the wide receivers can actually catch the ball, aren't getting too many drops, and if Bo Nix can maintain his footwork, kind of like he did in the Chiefs game, and is a little bit more accurate with the ball, I think we'll be fine. I'm not really worried about the running game. Defense, obviously balling out, and we're getting PS2 back, right? Or no?
Yes.
No yet?
And Singleton.
Yes. Okay. And Singleton?
Yep. Sure looking that way. I'd say that PS2 is more of a sure thing than Singleton is right now.
Yeah.
Great feature on Singleton on GMA this morning, by the way.
Yeah, I didn't catch that. I heard it was good, though.
Yeah.
I will say, though, just from the flexing point, how exciting is this, though, as a Bronco fan? Because, like, the Broncos are prime time, and they easily could have flexed this out, but they chose not to because the Broncos' season and the way it's unfolded, they're 9-2, second in the AFC. They are prime time. They could have flexed out because of the Washington Commanders game, but no, they wanted to keep it because the Broncos are prime time and they are vying for that number 1 seed, and that is the reason why that game was not flexed out. And obviously,
I know, but the last time we were on prime time, we played the Raiders. And,
Still won the damn game, man.
I know, but woofta. That was a bad game.
It was, but we still won it. It was still a dub. They all count in the column the same.
All right, so we're all thinking the Broncos beat the Commanders. I'm not going to ask Gage the score because I know he's not going to say it.
Well, what are your guys' scores?
you said 37-16, right?
17.
17.
17.
Is that a scoregami?
No.
No,
Definitely.
I think that one's been a thing before. I'm pretty sure.
I will say 27-13. I will say 27-13. And I will say that the Broncos create numerous turnovers in this game.
Good opportunity.
As they continue to work on the shot. And I will also say the Broncos will have 5 penalties in the game.
3 of them, Riley Moss.
Not 10 or 12 or whatever.
I could see Mims actually breaking a return for a touchdown. He
is so
he
close.
was so close. It was so
Yeah.
close.
I think I'm going to go 24-6. I don't think that the Commanders score a touchdown. I think it's 2 field goals.
Oh, I love that.
Spicy.
That's what I'm thinking. All right, anything else we need to cover? Or did we cover it all?
How many penalties for the Commanders, Mike? Since they're so undisciplined.
I don't know.
I'm
Are
saying.
they undisciplined? I don't pay attention. I don't
saying-
care. They're not the Broncos.
I'm just saying.
So you claim to be obsessed with Dan Quinn. You don't even pay attention to his team.
You said I was
What are you
obsessed with
doing
Dan
here?
Quinn.
It's your
I'm
they
obsessed-
have your
I'm
favorite
obsessed
coach
with
and
Sam
your
Hartman.
favorite
There's a
quarterback.
difference.
Sure, you're trying to move the goalpost now. I see how it is.
Mundungus and Sam Hartman in the next Hallmark movie together. So.
I'm down.
No, that's more of an OnlyFans thing.
What Mike told
Sam
me-
Hartman's face and my feet. That's how it's going to work.
Well, we're probably what Mike's like hoping for is we end up having a Jim Harbaugh and
Let's
Jim
Harrier. Mike's feet or Sam's head.
Well, I was gonna say is we have a Jim Harbaugh and Jim Schwartz type situation at the the midway point of the field where Sean Payton is so amped that he beat the Washington Commanders that he shoves Dan Quinn, not getting a handshake off, and Quinn is so pissed off that we don't get a handshake on the field, and therein lies more of the Dan Quinn Sean Payton rivalry. I think that's what Mike wants.
I want Cam to stop playing with Sean Payton's dick. That's what I want. All right. Anything else that we need to cover? Nope. Cool. All right. We want to thank everybody for joining us in the show. It's always great when you guys do and give us your comments. What? I'm just moving on. Moving on from
we've ever had on the show, I think.
It was a great segue. I like it. It's always great when you guys can comment and kind of steer the show towards the questions that you guys have, and we love to answer them. Make sure you head on over
Rod,
to
thank you for joining us, even though you're a fan of another team. Appreciate the engagement.
We've been getting a lot more like other teams popping in here recently. I've been noticing.
Rams,
Patriots. Awesome.
I just get going in my little spiel, and Glenn
Michael too.
blocks me
Appreciate
just
that.
right in the middle of it. It's
That's what you
fantastic.
get for loving Dan Quinn and hating Travis Hunter.
Yeah, Travis Hunter, so worth the number 2 pick. Now I forgot where I was going. Oh, make sure you head on over to the MHRT Network. Check out all the shows we got. We got shows Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then the neighborhood on game days. Obviously, the Christmas game day, we will not be doing that one because it's Christmas, and my wife would divorce me.
I will.
It's cheaper to not be divorced, so I'm not going to do the show.
Come watch it on Broncos Syndicate with me.
Wow. Okay. Make sure you head over to Broncos
Bargain, man.
as well and hit that like, subscribe, and thumbs up. And you can join as a member on Broncos Syndicate as well, right?
Sure can.
Okay, so make sure you hit the join button there. You can also hit the join button on the network. That feature's turned on, so go ahead and hit that if you'd like. I think it's $2, $5, and $10 per month, and there's different benefits for each. So pick which ones you like. You also have those options over on Broncos Syndicate. Not sure what the cost is. Gabe does. I don't. Who's Broncos Syndicate? Wow. Oh, that's not nice.
No, Cairo's comment.
Like, who the hell's that
You
guy?
ain't chilling for another pod, you whore.
He's allowed.
It's good stuff. But yeah, you've got the 5280 on Tuesdays, the Wild Wild West on Wednesdays, along with mainly Broncos, hosted by Cameron Parker on Wednesday nights as well. We have a cluster puck, which covers the Avalanche, who are also having a good season so far. And then you got Broncos Buzz with the two old guys on Friday, other than Glenn. We have other old guys, not just Glenn. So make sure you check that out as well. We love the Broncos. We love Broncos country. We'll see you guys later. Peace.
Fast lane when I pass in the street, bag of money in the passenger seat. Simcoe's been asking for me on the road from the west to the east. Way up, I might never come down, cause the coast right